we're making carnivore Alfredo, just like Grandma used to make. Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in. This is the Carnivore Alfredo. I'm gonna put a link down below to how you can make my noodle recipe. There's actually two different options. So I'm gonna put both of those videos down below. One is more of an egg style noodle, which is kind of what I did here to be a little more like fettuccine. The other is a little more similar to spaghetti. Whichever one you want, pick your favorite. I'm gonna show you how we make this Carnivore Alfredo. It's absolutely fantastic. And make sure you stick around to the end of the video to see what the girl who does not like egg substitutes for anything thinks of my pasta.
We'll see.
All right, first things first, this is not traditional, but I'm gonna use some Italian sausage to put on top of the Alfredo. That is the way Miss Ash loves it, and I enjoy it that way too. So I'm just crumbling up some Italian sausage that is as clean of Italian sausage as I can find. I'm gonna put this in a pan and cook this up so we can put this on top of our Alfredo. Okay, now we're going to take a small saucepan and about a cup and a half cream to make our sauce. I'm going to turn the heat onto a medium to medium high. You don't want to get this too high because we don't want to burn it, but we do want to bring this up to temperature. I'm going to add about a cup and a half of cream. You can add anywhere from 1 to 2 cups, depending on how much Alfredo sauce you want on your pasta, but about 1.5 cups is perfect for this portion. Here in this bowl, I have a bunch of grated Parmesan and Romano cheeses. I mixed those two together just because I like that flavor. You can use just straight Parmesan if you want to be more traditional, but I have that set aside so that I can make our sauce. I'm also going to use a little white pepper and a little garlic powder. These seasonings are optional and they are not traditional, but I do like them. It's more of an American style Alfredo to do it this way. So that's about a half teaspoon of garlic powder and about a half teaspoon of white pepper. Now we're just going to whisk this up and bring the cream up to a hot simmering temperature. Also make sure you have some extra room in your saucepan because if it's too narrow, it's going to boil over even if it starts to simmer. So make sure you have a little extra room. Once our cream is coming up to the simmer, I'm just going to whisk it one more time and we can start incorporating cheese. Right before we start adding cheese, we want to take about 3 tablespoons of cold butter, throw that down into the boiling cream. We're going to whisk that in until that is completely melted, and then we can start adding cheese. Once that butter is really well mixed in, we can start adding cheese, and I'm just going to do this a small handful at a time. So I'm going to grab a handful of the shredded cheese. I shredded it myself. I'm going to sprinkle that in there, and I'm going to whisk while I'm doing it so I don't get clumps of cheese. Whisk to combine that cheese in as it starts to melt, and we'll keep repeating this process to create our sauce. If it looks like it's boiling too hard, you can also turn the temperature down a little bit. This is a great time to do that. You can turn the heat all the way off if necessary. Once that cheese is well combined, we're going to add another handful as we continue whisking. Once that's well incorporated, I'll go ahead and do a third handful. I'm just going to keep doing this one handful at a time until I get a thick, creamy Alfredo sauce texture. So I've used probably about 2 cups or so, which is about half of the cheese that I had, and you can see the sauce is starting to get nice and thick. So I'm going to turn the heat back on low, and I'm just going to make sure that this stays a nice warm temperature. And now you can see we have a beautiful, thick, creamy Alfredo sauce. And if you want to taste this and add extra salt to it, feel free. Usually the cheese is salty enough, but that creamy texture and salty cheese is perfect. Always make sure to season to your taste. And there's the Alfredo sauce. I'm just going to keep that warm until time to coat the pasta. Speaking of pasta, this is a quick way to do this. Just put some water into the skillet that you cooked the sausage in. If you made sausage like I did, put that onto the stove because that skillet will bring that water up to a boil very quickly. Turn the heat on high, and then you can throw the pasta in there for 20 to 30 seconds to get it ready for saucing. Okay, we're going to throw our noodles into the boiling water. Stir those around just to bring them up to temperature and soften the gelatin that's in them. We're going to turn the heat back on and just make sure our Alfredo sauce is nice and warm, ready for the noodles. Once the noodles are up to temperature and the sauce is warm, we're just going to drain the noodles and put them into the saucepan. Toss gently to coat everything in Alfredo sauce. Now all we need to do is plate this pasta up and serve.
All right, y'all, that is how we make carnivore Alfredo. Now, I'm really interested to see what Ash thinks of this because I've done a couple of noodle dishes for her. And tell me, what would happen if you would taste these noodles and they would taste like eggs to you?
I would not eat them. I would stop, spit it out, and eat something else for dinner. I just don't do eggs. Well, things that taste like eggs.
Yes. She wants to eat something that tastes like eggs. She wants to eat eggs.
Yeah.
And if I make any of this stuff and it tastes like eggs, she will not eat it, and she will very distinctly have a look on her face. So we're gonna figure out if she thinks the noodles taste like eggs or not. You guys saw how I made the Alfredo sauce. Now listen, I know traditionally Alfredo is not made with cream. I know it's not made with the garlic powder. I know it's not made with the white pepper. Italians, please don't be upset at me. We don't have starch in the carnivore world. In keto and carnivore pasta, there is not starch to work with, which is how you would make the emulsion that makes a traditional Alfredo. I can't do that, so we have to make do with what we have, and dairy fat, being cream, is the one way we can do that. So that's why I use the cream. I know that's not traditional, but this is the best we can do with a carnivore dish like this, at least that I've found so far. I put some Italian sausage on top of it. You don't have to do that. I know that's not traditional either. That's just the way my lovely wife likes it here.
Love it.
Yep, and so we're gonna try it out, and I put a little sprinkle of dried basil on top. You don't have to do that either. That and the other sprinkle of cheese is just the window dressing for you guys. So we're gonna see what Miss Ash thinks of my Alfredo.
Roll up my sleeves here. This is good. I will say that it looks amazing. I mean, it looks like something I would get at like a very fancy restaurant. Wow. That is so good.
I'm gonna assume she likes it.
It's super good. Okay, the noodles, they do not taste like egg. The sausage is amazing. Sauce is actually really, really good. Creamy, well seasoned. The noodles are like so soft. They're not like spongy, they're not hard. Man, that sauce though, that Alfredo sauce is so good, so rich, so creamy. It has a lot of goodness. A lot of goodness, wow.
That makes me very happy. I think there's a lot of corporate Italian type restaurants in the United States, right? You have Olive Garden, you have Carrabba's is another one that I know we have around here. There's a whole bunch of places. Anytime you go out for Italian and you get Alfredo, you're not getting real traditional Alfredo usually.
Yeah, no.
Those corporate places can't make real traditional Alfredo on a corporate scale for the most part. It's usually a jarred sauce or a prepackaged thing. Even if it's a really nice Italian restaurant, questionable whether their ingredients are truly traditional or not. So I think this is a perfectly acceptable Alfredo, and I think it is just as good as any Alfredo I've ever had anywhere, short of the fact that I've never been to Italy and had Alfredo from like the original places where it originated. I think this is perfectly acceptable as a substitute for any of the ones that I've had, even my own, because I do homemade Alfredo with like handmade pasta. I used to do that all the time for us.
Super good,
and that's something I used to make, and I think, is that slightly better than this? Maybe because I have that recipe perfected, but this is pretty doggone close.
I think this is amazing. Like if someone came over to our house for dinner, I have no problem serving that. I think they'd really enjoy it, and they'd probably be like, wow, this is the most amazing Alfredo I've ever had. This is definitely way better than what I would go down the street to Olive Garden for. I guarantee it also is probably cheaper than what Olive Garden would charge me. And I'm gonna eat this whole entire thing because it's so yummy and it's so delicious, and I won't feel bad afterwards.
Right. There you go, y'all. That is Carnivore Alfredo. You have to make this. It's really simple. It really is. I know it looks like a lot to, you know, put all the steps in there, but they're all very simple. You just do it a little at a time. You just work on getting that sauce the right texture. That's all you have to do. And it works really well. And it pretty much takes care of itself, because ingredients wise, this is actually very simple. If you didn't put the sausage on top, it's literally just the egg noodles and cream and the cheese and butter. And that's, and if you decide to spice it up with anything, that's it. This is a really simple dish ingredients wise. It just lets all the ingredients really shine. And I think that's what it really comes down to. So the verdict is no egg flavor on the noodles.
Oh no, none at all. None. I would have thought they were just really good noodles.
There you go, guys. That's the Carnivore Alfredo. So thank you guys so much for watching. All of my links are down below as usual. My Patreon and my YouTube members, you guys are gonna get some extra recipes. We're gonna do something kind of along the lines of this for the Patreon members and the YouTube members. If you guys wanna join the band, that's my YouTube memberships and Patreon group. I'd love to have you in there. Patreon $5 and up, they get extra recipes. The YouTube members, you guys get extra recipes, and you guys are how I'm able to do this. All of this is always sponsored by them because they're the way that we are able to do this, and we really appreciate you guys and love every one of you, because without you I couldn't do this. So
yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. This is Chris Cook in Nashville and my lovely wife Ash Taylor, country artist extraordinaire. I'm gonna make sure to put her links in the description box down below. If you want to listen to some great country music the two of us play together, go check her out as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Eat your meat and your pasta. Love your life, and we are going to see you right here in the kitchen for the next recipe.
Bye. Let's feed a Lyle.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. This is so good. Why is it so yummy? I'm just gonna go eat now. I'm gonna take this with me.
Okay.